How can you reduce the amount of time it takes to do a takeoff from 2 days to 20 minutes? That sounds interesting, huh? Well, my guest and I, Marty Cornish, discussed that on Construction Genius. Marty is the CEO of Workpack, which is a startup that brings automated quantity software to construction cost estimators. So our discussion today is on using AI as a co-pilot to enhance workflows and productivity. And their main focus is on takeoffs, but we have a broad discussion about the impact of AI on the construction industry, where it is now, where it's going in the future, some of the misconceptions about AI, as well as some predictions for how AI will be used in the future. Another thing that we talk about that I think you'll find very useful is how to get AI implemented successfully in your business by combining the commitment of leadership with the enthusiasm of the younger generation to get the middle of your company involved in using this technology to improve efficiencies. So enjoy my conversation with Marty. Check out all the links in the show notes to learn more about his company, Workpack. And I appreciate you listening to Construction Genius today. This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Marty, welcome to Construction Genius.
Great to be here, Eric.
I know there's lots of college kids and high school kids at the moment using ChatGPT to create very boring papers. And we've been inundated over the last 18 months or so with the wave of AI products and AI chatter. And so as an expert in AI, I wanted to bring you on the show to talk to the audience about how you view AI impacting the construction industry, let's say in the next 12 to 36 months.
Yeah, and no question, it's already here. It's not even 12 months out. AI is changing workflows across industries, and I think that not just in construction, across industries, we're going to have a variety of different co-pilots or AI assistants or whatever you want to call it that we're going to delegate work to. We're going to, we have to provide a setup or a prompt. It returns a bunch of work, and just like you said, kind of the boring term paper. It does return a boring term paper. It's your job as a college student to make it colorful, to add some personality, to actually like organize it in a way that reflects you, and then you can turn it in. As an estimator, you got to turn the initial data that gets returned by your AI co-pilot and actually turn it into something that makes sense as an estimate to fit kind of your company's cost structure and specific needs, and coordinate with the rest of the project team and anybody who you're working on the job with. So the workflow changes from just kind of like tedious clicking and tracing on takeoffs and with our product to let's kind of coordinate, communicate, understand projects more effectively and organize them in a smart way.
Yeah, so let's dive into that then. So in construction, broadly speaking, you got to bid the work, you got to plan the work, you got to build the work, and you got to get paid. And right off the bat, you're talking about AI as it relates to estimating. Give us a little more detail on, because an estimator or a head of estimating might be listening to this and thinking, well, AI, do I need to fire all my guys and, just produce estimates without any physical human beings? Give us a little bit more on this idea of co-pilot when it comes to AI and how someone like an estimator may be able to use it effectively.
Totally. With our product, Workpack, we build an AI quantity takeoff software. And, when I have been talking to people about the product over the last 4.5 years as we've been building it, very early people instantly wanted something that would help them do takeoffs faster. And that's a very attractive value proposition. But then when you get into the conversation of, what are my fears around this? It's like, oh, well, I don't want to automate myself out of a job. And so what we've actually found, and this, to some extent surprised me, is that more than more than an autopilot, it's really a co-pilot. And so, you have to give it context. It doesn't have any context. It just returns whatever it's been trained to do. It just returns the data based on the training that it's been, whatever it's been trained to do. It produces, and that's it. It's got no incentives. It's got no context. It's got no experience. You have to provide that initial. And then you got to layer on your experience on top of it in order to make it effective. And so it's really like this AI plus human estimator, harmony, synergy, whatever. It's a tool for us to produce a lot more work, and we're going to be a lot more effective by leveraging AI in our workflows, in pre-construction, certainly starting now, but across industries by leveraging AI and, the best AI tools that we can get our hands on.
So let's go to that main issue there of the prompt, because I think that is one of the key challenges that people have in using AI effectively is the quality of their prompts. So as you work with your construction clients, how do you help them in terms of creating the prompts that are going to give them the information that they need?
Totally right. So, I mean, our most of our customers are leading commercial construction companies across the U.S. The best, most effective users tend to be either really enthusiastic about new technology, and that's kind of obvious, but they're also kind of the younger generation. So, interns, junior estimators, who don't have a lot of muscle memory around some of the legacy tools, and also have kind of like grown up in the world of at least Google search, and now have used kind of some of these AI tools and have played around with them. The prompt workflow is really kind of a delegation workflow. And so it's almost like an intern doing work for you, but it doesn't have feelings, right? It's just software returning work. And so, so you have to say, I want you to do takeoff on this, or I want you to review this part of the contract, or you want to like review these images for, this. And so, whatever context that you can provide, the more context that you can give the AI to produce meaningful, specific data for your specific needs, the better.
I can see the application with estimating very much so. How do you see AI affecting other aspects of the construction workflow process, from planning the work to building it to even getting paid as it begins to get developed into the industry?
There's certainly applications on sites for reviewing, kind of site images, and some of those exist today. There are certainly good applications across contract review, creating scopes, writing initial drafts of contracts, reviewing specifications. Really what AI is best at is really, really tedious, monotonous kind of like data review and data creation tasks. It doesn't understand that, the relationships that you have with specific trade partners, or, the relationships that you have with clients, and how they want to see their breakouts. And, it doesn't have any of that context. It doesn't even have the context around, we were just playing around on our team, our development with Midjourney, producing some, kind of sample architectural plans. And, it doesn't even have the context that you don't put 3 toilets right next to each other in a residential house. And so, it's like, it'll produce some really ridiculous results, and, no problem. You just delete it, or you just edit it. You just, if you're the architect working on that project, you just like delete 2 of the toilets in the bathroom, and, but you got the general structure. And so, it's going to work and be helpful across a variety of applications. It's really a matter of like, who's taken it on, which software companies are actually, building or have built solutions that provide value for that specific need.
So it's interesting, because as you're saying that, I can hear some of my audience thinking, well, okay, so I'm going to wait. It's the technology is new, it's exciting. I see some of the applications, but it's not really that sophisticated yet. And so I'm going to wait for a year or 2, 3 years before I start using it. What's your counter argument to that? Where it's not time to wait. It's time to at least put one foot in the pond and test out the water.
We have one customer who just did a door takeoff that they thought was going to take 2 days in 20 minutes using our product. And so like a 30x kind of time savings. And so, that's kind of the most efficiency gain you can you can get using a tool like Workpack. But AI is here. It like this. Some of the solutions are mature. Like the mature solution. I mean, ChatGPT is kind of almost mature. There's some chat solutions for customer service needs. There's some kind of like contract classification and review, mature AI products. And then there are a lot of demoable AI products. Ours is somewhere in between that right now today, where it's providing a lot of value for our customers right now today. But it's not mature yet. It's still fairly new. And there are a variety of tools, not as many in our category, not as many that are useful as are demoable. But as you start to feel this wave, and everybody's feeling it, everybody's talking to me about. I talk to senior pre-construction leaders every single day, and I had 2 conversations last week where they're talking about how the workflow of an estimator is changing, and how everybody is going to be spending a lot less time doing takeoff and a lot more time kind of communicating with the team, kind of organizing data in the way that they want, and the importance of this data for construction. Another senior leader told me the other day that the number one killer in construction is bad data, and so those type of things are known now, and so AI is kind of the way to produce better data, to streamline workflows, to make sure that we're being efficient with our day-to-day work in the pre-construction and overall construction.
So let me ask you that, because I know you can put in a prompt into ChatGPT, and you've got to really check your information. Would you say that AI is more effective dealing with pure data in terms of the accuracy of the output, as opposed to just something more subjective, like writing an essay or even creating an image?
There are different AI tools. I mean, our product, Workpack, has 7 different AI models inside it. And so we have different AI that's trained to do different things for very specific purposes. And so in terms of, there's certainly the chat workflow where you're providing that context with a chat interface. And, in ours, everything is from the 2D PDF plans. And so, you're providing context within the drawings of what you want to detect. You have to provide, kind of areas that you want to do takeoff inside of, and then you have to define, these are the templates for symbols or labels. You got to define the areas where tables exist, and the tables that you want to detect, those sort of things, and then it does the work of classifying the objects as whatever they are and matching them up, and providing additional richer data on that.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, for sure.
You said you have 7 different models within your product.
Yeah.
Can you describe those models a little bit, just to give people insight into what the AI is doing behind the scenes and what it's looking at?
For sure. I mean, there's a page classification model that automatically indexes, like, this is the page number and the sheet type and whatever. There's a kind of, this is the these are the walls, these are the doors, these are the windows, kind of a general, and the wall engine is different than the door engine. And then there's a label detection engine, and then there's a label matching, and then there's a table classification. And then, so there's a symbol detection that is different from the label. And so, like, these things are trained to do a specific task and return a specific data result. And then,
yes,
it's up to you to some of the classification happens, automatically, but you can reclassify or edit or whatever. Again, it's kind of like cloud intelligence. We can just kind of call it to do a bunch of work for us. It's there's nothing artificial about the work that gets created, but it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be done in the way that you've trained your estimating team to do it over years. It doesn't have years of experience at your company working for you. It doesn't have all of that context and experience. It has just whatever it's been trained to do, which is return some data from plans based on some kind of context given to it by the user.
So as you're using your product, or any like AI product over time, are you actually participating in the training of the model in some way with the inputs that you're giving it?
I think that's an awesome question, because you hear it a lot, and it's a very good kind of sales pitch that, like, it's learning on its own kind of thing, and it's also one of the fear mongering techniques that, like, people throw out. It's like, well, AI is just learning all the time. It's just kind of gonna learn everything, and then we're going to be kind of slaves to the robots. But really, the way we train the models, we train it in batches, and so we're actually doing the work to label the data. It's kind of the workflow for training AI models. You have to actually basically do the takeoff, right? In software programs that AI can actually learn from, and then you produce a data set that it is labeled training data that models can learn from, and then you just feed it through the model, and then it returns takeoff data because it's been trained to do takeoffs. It returns that. There's not kind of a self-reinforcing mechanism. It's more like Workpack trains these AI models in batches. We've got great models that you can leverage. And so most AI tools work that way. They're not relying on users to kind of like thumbs up, thumbs down every single image.
Sure.
Because you have to rely on having really good, clean data in order for AI to be correct. If people are saying, "Oh, this measurement line over here is a wall," right, and somebody's just drawing a bunch of walls that they're actually, railings or they're whatever they are. The AI model, if it were learning from the users, is saying, "Oh, these railings. Every time I see railings, I'm going to say it's a wall," right? It's like that wouldn't be, that wouldn't be effective. And so, we feed it, really clean, properly labeled data, and it returns good results because of that. So, and that's what I see across the best AI products that I see, kind of industry wide. It's that, they're training it, or they're leveraging kind of like something that's been trained very, very well. Some of these large language models. I mean, we train our own models, for the most part, but like it's, they might be leveraging some, Microsoft or similar kind of Google's tools. So,
what have you learned from your clients that surprised you, and has helped you to improve the models that you use?
Probably the biggest thing that's been surprising is this, like, it's not automate. It's not autopilot, it's copilot. It's like
Yeah.
really kind of the workflow shift and how seamless, kind of like the manual plus AI needed to be, and that's how we built it. Because of that, it needs to be really like AI plus human estimator harmony synergy, kind of workflow. So like a smooth, it can create anything that I want, as a rough draft. But if I don't want to use it, I can just do whatever I want manually, because
Right.
if it's a limited, if I just have like an early stage napkin sketch or something, I want some quick areas, I can just draw. But if I have something a little bit more detailed, I want to classify, all of my wall types or all of my door types, or I want to count a bunch of lighting symbols, or, I want to have this table matched up to, for the room finishes. I can do those things, by doing a quick setup, and then it'll return all that work.
Hey, this is Eric, and I hope you're enjoying my chat with Marty about AI. And let me just remind you about my book, Construction Genius. This is what you do. Go out to Amazon, purchase 10 copies for you and your leadership team. Why should you do it? Because there's 12 chapters in here, and each chapter will give you practical insights on how to run a better construction company from a leadership, strategy, sales, and marketing perspective. When you purchase 10 or more copies, which if you buy the paperbacks will cost you less than $200, send me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com. In that email, tell me that you purchased those copies, and then I'll contact you and we'll schedule a 60-minute Zoom session where we'll do a Q&A on the book with your leadership team, and we'll also do a bonus training session. I would charge $3,000 for this hour normally, but for you, if you buy 10 copies or more as a thank you, I'm happy to do it at no additional charge. So that means you get an hour of my time for less than $200, and I promise you that is a killer deal. And I also promise you that you will get tremendous value from that time that you spend with me for you and your leadership team. So again, go out to Amazon, purchase 10 or more copies of Construction Genius, contact me, and we'll get that Q&A session set up via Zoom. All right, back to my conversation now with Marty. So when you spoke earlier about how one of the best ways to implement AI is to use the enthusiasm of the younger generation. So, as you put yourself in the shoes of your typical construction CEO, and perhaps they're interested in this and they buy into the logic and they can see a value proposition. With your clients, how have you seen them roll it out to the whole company in terms of marrying the enthusiasm of the younger generation with the leadership of the executive team to overcome the skepticism of all those folks in the middle?
Totally. We've seen some of that, and candidly, we haven't seen anybody roll it out across the entire organization. So, I don't know the complete answer for that. I do know that what's been most effective is having junior estimators in the product as their primary tool, and they're never going back. So, like, the junior estimators are never going back to click and trace. So, you mentioned the enthusiasm. We've seen two groups be really successful. Enthusiastic kind of early adopters, regardless of age, doesn't matter. It could be people towards the tail end of the career. It could be, people, we've had interns be really successful as well. So it doesn't really matter the stage of career. And everywhere in between, we've had be really successful. But what we're starting to see is, pulling in others from the team, regardless of whether it's the people on site to be able to share takeoff data with in a far more collaborative way. Or having multiple estimators kind of working together, those sorts of things. So our product's really enabling a lot more collaboration than has really been kind of historically possible as well. So it's kind of automation and collaboration. But the most effective teams, and this is kind of a leadership thing more broadly, have a blend of the rookies and the kind of mid-career and the veterans. And so that obviously a sports analogy, but you have that on effective construction teams as well. And when you have one of the veterans kind of mentoring one of the rookies through Workpack as kind of a tool for the rookie to instantly become more productive than average. So they go from being less productive than average to being more productive than average, and then working together to show the veteran, like, hey, here's how I use this new AI tool to like do my takeoff 4 times faster than anybody on the team has been able to do these things. So so that's what we've seen most effective for teams. And that's really kind of like a change anything kind of mentality. You want the rookies driving a lot of the technology change with leadership kind of with executive sponsorship.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how you're specifically focused on the takeoff in terms of almost a non-threatening approach with the AI, because I don't know anyone in the world who relishes doing a takeoff.
Well, certainly that's why I started working on it. It's like, so tedious.
Let me ask you this, though. It's interesting because in talking to contractors, some folks will say, well, I know takeoffs are boring, but I want my junior folks to do them because that will help them to get a real feel for the project and build some experience going forward. What's your answer to those people as you're taking away the need to do a takeoff and just getting it done in 20 minutes instead of 2 days?
Yeah, that's how I learned the job kind of thing. And there's no question that is one way to learn the job. What I've actually found that has been surprising as I've used our product, obviously, I have experience in all the legacy takeoff softwares, but as I use Workpack day to day, the most surprising thing is that I stay engaged the whole time I'm using it. And so, like, versus going into kind of this mowing the lawn, like turn the brain off and just kind of like slug through it, and it's just click, click, click. I'm engaged. I'm thinking about, okay, well, did something get missed here? Did something get missed here? It identifies, the AI is identifying a bunch of stuff. It's like, okay, well, now I'm in edit or classification mode. And so I'm always engaged. And, it's not like I get tired out from that. If anything, it's the opposite. I get, kind of more excited and enthusiastic about my work. That's what junior estimators coming in want to do. That's what like the younger generation coming out of college, the people being hired into companies, that's what they want to do. They want to be engaged. They want to be enthusiastic about their work. They want to use the newest, most exciting tools. And if you give that to them, as senior leadership, you give them tools to be more productive and more engaged in their work, you're keeping talent around for a long time rather than having to train some new estimator and then having them leave in a year because they're not excited about their work. So, like historically, we've been able to just kind of like push off the tasks on the new guy. It's not that way anymore. People want to be engaged in their work. Just kind of a change. This is across industries. It's where people want to be kind of they're getting their meaning out of their work, and so we've got to provide that.
Yeah, it's interesting. So zooming out a little bit, as we think about, let's say, the future of AI 2-3 years down the road, what is accurate in the current narrative that we're going to see AI impacting 2-3 years from now, do you think?
I think it's just going to be, we're going to do a lot less tedious work. We're going to be way more productive. You asked earlier about kind of why I need to do this now. I think the companies that are adopting AI today are going to have huge competitive advantages over, others over the next few years, just because the technology is moving so fast. Like it's not even just the software speed. It's kind of a software. It's software plus, so you get automation efficiencies, but then you also get kind of like these work production efficiencies. I mean, people don't even have words for this. Like, I have to. I mean, people are calling it artificial intelligence. AI is artificial intelligence. It's not. There's nothing. There's nothing artificial. It's this is producing real work that people are using in their day to day, and so if you can leverage tools to do your work a lot better. Companies throughout history that have leveraged the best technology, and countries and everybody who's leveraged the best technologies have won. That's how you win. So, yeah, I mean, I just think it's going to develop more. We're going to have more good AI tools, much like software has kind of taken over and eaten the world. We're going to have AI kind of not exactly eat the world, but we're going to have AI workflows across the board.
Hey, this is Eric. Hope you're enjoying my conversation with Marty. Just a quick note. One of the biggest challenges that a new leader has when they shift from being, let's say, a project manager into a project executive role is making the move from being project focused to being people focused. And in order to make that shift, they often need an outside voice to talk through some of the challenges that they have with micromanagement, accountability, having difficult conversations, developing talent, hiring and firing. And that's exactly why engaging an executive coach can be very powerful. An executive coach is an outside sounding board that can help people think through the challenges that they're encountering and come up with solutions that they can then implement and be held accountable for executing on. Now, an executive coach does not give advice, because most of your people, they already know the answers to their questions. They just need help clarifying those answers. And then they do need some support in terms of accountability for executing on their ideas. And so if you'd like to discuss with me how executive coaching can help the leaders in your organization and even yourself as the leader of your construction company, reach out to me on my website, constructiongenius.com/contact. Put in a couple of details there. I promise I'll respond to you via email within 24 hours. And we can have a very short 10-minute conversation about if or how I can help you with my executive coaching. All right, let's get back to my conversation with Marty. So then what's inaccurate? Because there's always hype and then reality. There's fear-mongering and reality. So what is inaccurate that is not going to be the case 2 or 3 years from now as it comes to these things that we're talking about?
I don't see any world. I mean, we talked about the 3 toilets in a residential bathroom kind of scenario. Like AI doesn't have any incentive. It doesn't have any context. It doesn't have any experience. So anything beyond kind of tedious, monotonous classification of things and creation of kind of rough draft level things, it's not going to complete work for us. It's just going to do big, heavy lifts for a long time. And I don't see that changing for, 10, 20 years, something like that, at least, if it ever does. But I do see, by leveraging the AI tools, people being able to complete just a huge amount more work because they've got initial starting points on everything that they do.
And what is going to surprise us about AI 2 or 3 years from now? What are we going to say, man, I didn't think that was going to happen, and boom, here it is.
I've kind of already been surprised, and I think
Yep.
I think I'm on the other side of the surprise. So maybe I'll share that.
Sure. Please.
That it is this like co-pilot thing. It's
Yeah.
we have to provide a context. It's not just press a button. You have to delegate effectively. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not just a Google search. It's a lot more than that. It's providing
Mm-hmm.
adequate context on what you're actually looking for, and then the reclassification of data, the organization of data. It's a change in workflow. So I mean, people think, I thought really before building this product, it's like, oh, we're just going to click a button and it's going to do everything kind of thing, and then we're done, and then we start to trust the AI system. It's really, it's more an assistant that we can leverage. I think we're going to have these across a variety of different industries and use cases, that we're going to chat with them. We're going to by voice, by text, and interface with these systems in a way that is different than just kind of like point and click and typing software. It's not just like we can digitize our workflows. It's we can have software return work for us, and then we can edit or classify. So it's like it's a lot more advanced than software has been, where it's just like we can store things. We can use the computer to store our data and maybe share our data. It's we can use the computer now to create data for us, and that's new. It's a completely new paradigm.
Do you say it's a time when, like a construction management school within a university will be offering a specialization in, let's say, prompt engineering for
Mm.
estimating, or will they be doing classes on how to be a prompt engineer?
I think everyone needs to be able to do it across the tools. I think mostly people will, because people will be using so many different AI tools. I don't think
Yeah.
it's just limited to pre-construction. I think that people will be using so many AI tools across their day-to-day lives, and so I think people will just start to get used to using AI in the way that we've gotten used to using software generally. So
Yeah.
there will be kind of like generally accepted principles around like AI products, and then AI use cases. So I think the magic will be some people will be better at kind of creating good prompts, and then there people with experience and skills in the construction workflows, like there's a lot of tribal knowledge that people generate
Yes.
over decades, and
Yes.
and a lot of those are company dependent, geography dependent, kind of like client dependent, type of work dependent. It's they know how to do this because they've done it, and so it's I think we're going to see a lot more of that than like people focused on how to run the AI systems. I think more many people are going to develop the muscle memory to do a good enough job leveraging the tools, and so everybody's going to be using them more than hiring specific VDC level people just to use the specific tools that are available. I think it's going to be far more accessible. It already is. I mean, our product, people need a couple of training sessions, but like then they're off and running. It's not like they have to spend a bunch of time learning how to use it. It's just kind of like creating the takeoff, the starting point for you. Uh, and then, everybody knows how to do takeoff in construction. So
Yeah. It's pretty interesting though. It's cool as you interact with the various tools that, if you just hang out and play with it, and put some inputs in, get some outputs, and you have at least a modicum of intelligence or experience to be able to evaluate it, you can get so much value from that.
you get a lot of value out of a lot of software tools. For ours, we've seen like zero of our customers be successful, like just doing kind of a trial, and 100% of our customers be successful with 3 training sessions, which is what we do. And so
Yeah.
like the paradigm shift and the kind of conceptual shift, like no, basically nobody. I mean, it's a change in workflow. You're not starting with a blank page. You've got to understand how to delegate and set up and prompt effectively. You probably don't need a whole like college level course on it, but you do need a little bit of training on how to actually do that effectively. And then, you need to learn how to classify or adjust what gets created. And then you need to know how to filter and export the data in the way you want. That's kind of just, some of that is just our tool. Some of that's AI in general. And so, some of it's going to happen across different tools and some of it is specific to ours. But it's been interesting how it's not something that people can just kind of play around with. It is something that, you need some training on, and maybe that need will go away as more AI tools exist. But the kind of paradigm of prompting or delegating, kind of creating this setup workflow is, usually you're starting with blank page and creating right from the beginning.
Yep. Interesting. So tell us a little bit more, Marty, about your company, and specifically what I'd like you to do is just to tell us who is your ideal client. Who should be definitely contacting you to learn more about the work that you do?
Our product Workpack is collaborative AI quantity takeoff software. Our customers are some of the largest companies in construction. It's most useful for finishes. With Workpack, you can detect all the walls, doors, windows, rooms. You can also detect labels, tables, symbols, anywhere there are patterns that are different. Really, anybody doing a lot of commercial interiors, building hospitals, building senior living facilities, multifamily, commercial office buildings, to the extent that we're going to see a lot of those, going up. Definitely the private markets, we're seeing financing change, but that's probably a whole nother podcast for somebody more experienced than me in that whole thing. But really those are kind of the best and the reasons to switch today. But you still have the ability to create anything you want manually in Workpack, so that you can keep all the data together and you can collaborate with the rest of the team effectively. So that's helpful in keeping all the everything in one centralized place.
That's great. And how can people get in touch with you?
Email's good, marty@workpack.ai, directly to me, or you can go to workpack.ai to learn more about the company.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining me here today. I look forward actually to getting you back on maybe in another 18 months or so and seeing how the AI has progressed and continuing the conversation about how it's going to impact the industry.
Yeah, we'll see whose predictions were right at that point. It is.
Yeah,
it is
right. I tend
so
to stay away from predictions when it comes to technology because my own ignorance. But I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you.
It was awesome to be here, Eric. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to my interview today with Marty. If you like it, share it with other people, and also go out to wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating or a review. All the links in the show notes to help you to contact Marty are present. So if you'd like to contact him, check out those links and make sure that you connect with him and let him know that you heard about his company on Construction Genius. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode.